Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sridhar. This is a special transmission with Sridhar Chityala ji as we look at the results coming out of three areas: New York City, the state of New Jersey and Virginia, and of course California, my own great home state. Let's welcome Sridhar Chityala ji. Sridhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar. Doing very well. What is more striking is lightning red color on the back of the Empire State Building. So the lightning has struck Gotham City, and basically you have made sure that the Empire State Building lights up appropriately with the red lights, Riji. That's very striking. So that's exactly, I wrote a piece which is to say, lightning has struck Gotham City. What is in store next? We got very interesting stuff to discuss, Riji. Over to you.
Yes, indeed. And viewers, New York, while we may all love to blame New York, California is not far behind. It took the Texans huffing and puffing for about 2 years to get redistricting done in a way that they think is going to help them. California just passed a law, Proposition 50, and there was not even a whimper of a resistance. They are going to redistrict and they're going to get 5 more seats that might swing Democrat way. Unless the people at the ground level start thinking that their vote means something, this is not going to change. Anyway, that's just New York and California, and he equally bats it, states and state of affairs. Sridhar ji, one thing that I have to warn our viewers, those of you who have voted for Mamdani, more power to you. But remember one thing, remember what Margaret Thatcher said. She said, socialism works until you run out of other people's money. Right now, it's a huge flight of capital from Manhattan to Miami. Sridhar ji, over to you.
Well, I think, you really kind of set the context in terms of the headline. This was coming, and I think we covered adequately the story that this did not start now, but it started somewhere in 2017. And from 2017, the roller coaster ride was coming. And of course, enough indications that what is to strike Manhattan. This is notwithstanding the fact that some of the people put, I don't know, the number that I hear is anything from $22 million to $100 million to stop Mamdani, but it didn't happen. Okay, so what's the story for the day today? Next slide.
Sir.
Mamdani wins New York mayoral race. Very important number. He gets more than 50%. When you get more than 50%, it doesn't matter. Even if it's by 0.1%, you can add all others votes, you're still a winner. So he gets more than 50% and he wins every borough. Then the vote delivers obviously the mayoral vote delivers the expected results, which we have been projecting. There's always 10 to 12 point gain between Mamdani and his Andrew Cuomo. Republicans put up a candidate. He only divided the votes. He did not help in terms of converging on Andrew Cuomo and potentially, helping some of those independents to tilt. And the result could have been different, but it only means postponement of the inevitability. The change in Gotham City is real. I don't know what it's going to be called. Will it still be called Gotham City in 4 years' time or 2 years' time? We'll be here to let you know. But certainly it may not be Gotham City if things progress the way they are progressing. Election summary, the key election summary is that though it is Democratic leading states which contested the elections, doesn't matter whether it is New York City, doesn't matter whether it is doesn't matter whether it is Virginia, doesn't matter whether it is Pennsylvania, not Pennsylvania, California, it's all the way Democrats winning and Republicans kind of, hiding and biting the wounds while the shutdown continues. Now, what is the key message? There's very clearly shifting demographics and that is taking place. And of course, attempts by various states to redraw the battlegrounds. Prop 50, which she alluded to, is one which is happening in California. And there's obviously a fallout from the shutdown. Next slide. So Mamdani and Democrats sweep polls in Democratic leaning states. We cover. Next slide. Okay. As expected, the results of the anticipated mayoral vote mirrored the polls. He defeats. The most important message from here is he won. There's 5 boroughs. All across all 5 boroughs, Mamdani won by at least a margin of 10% in each of those. Maybe Staten Island is about less than 10%, maybe 5-6%. Small voter base, historically a Republican voter base, but it looks like they didn't turn up to vote, so the Democrats won, or the Mamdani got the votes. The Queens, which also has some important villages which vote for Republicans, again disappointed. Nassau and Suffolk counties disappointed. Nassau and Suffolk counties are not in the Queens borough, so we draw the line in Queens, because some of these things are almost on the edge of Nassau County. Forget Suffolk County. The Coney Island, which once housed a lot of NYPD and the fire workers, most of them either have left or there's only very little remnants. So this demographic shift is very profound, which was not picked up. Another important data that is coming out is the youth. The youth vote has swung clearly in favor, I won't use the word Democrats, but Democratic Socialist Party, or the so-called Linda Sarovar and Mamdani. So they're saying now that it is socialism, and that's what resonates with kids, and both using a combination of social media as well as on-street education, they have turned the kids' minds. Sri.
Sridharji, couple of things. It's Linda Sarsour. I think that's who you meant. Palestinian American.
Yep.
Firebrand, and always wears her veil, really wears her religion on her sleeve, and so does Mamdani. And the youth of America, some of you can split atoms. Why can't you apply common sense when you go to vote? Why do you get carried away by what you read in Reddit? There is an alternative narrative also on X. I'm not saying you need to listen to X and then therefore change your mind. Apply your mind before you vote. I mean, I'm banging my head against every wall I can see, saying that your vote is precious. You need to make sure that it counts. Unfortunately, the youth of America, I don't know where you got all this Kool-Aid from, where you're drinking your Kool-Aid from. Serious reset is needed. I started out saying that socialism works as long as there is other people's money floating around. Please remember this. And Mamdani is going to drive this great city into the ground. Sir, one thing, you don't realize it as, for a longest time, right? There has been migration out of New York into Florida, isn't it? I mean, for 20, 30 years, isn't it?
Yep. Yep.
So that is continuing, isn't it? Yeah.
It is continuing. It is continuing, the migration. I think the inflection point was, we had covered extensively during that period, right from 2020 and also the COVID phase, that the COVID phase was a shifting point with busloads of people coming into Manhattan, so many homeless people, and the crime. I can say with enough because we lived it. The crime was very, very, prominent, and you can probably, to some extent, think of the days when Rudy Giuliani took over Manhattan. So today,
he cleaned it up, sir. But that man, credit to him, he cleaned it up.
Before when he took over, Shriji, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah, but he did clean it up, sir. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, this is going to take a lot of time, and I don't know who is going to clean it up. People may say this is a glorious life. So already the Manhattan or the New Yorkers are preparing themselves for more law and order issues, and lots of them carrying their dogs in trains and so on. It's a reflection that under this particular mayor, there may be far more leniency in terms of punishable crimes. We again lived that until Trump came back to power in 2024 and 2025. We saw the crime reduction, but that could be very different. It's also going to be interesting to see what happens in this confrontation between Trump and Mamdani, because he has threatened to arrest Trump if he comes to Manhattan.
That's all bullshit, sir. That's all rhetoric. You can't do that.
This Sridhar, I think you are. These people need drama. Okay,
That's
they
true.
need drama.
That's true. But why are the population
what
falling for
did
it?
𝗏𝗏 James do, Sriji? Did she stop? What did 𝗏𝗏 James do? She did. What did that? I forget his name. The attorney do. He was. He took under. He had to go to Supreme Court to take shelter. What did they do in Florida? They sent a truckload of FBI agents. So when these socialists, when they set their mind, they can do anything. Look, all I'm saying is that there's some brave statements have been made, and Mamdani says, okay, it's time that we get the opportunity. So they have the opportunity to take Manhattan the way they see it forward. Free buses, free tickets, free homes, rental freezes, grocery stores run by the government, so on. So very, very interesting times. Okay, we didn't stop there. We go to every governor. They lost both the governor seats. The New Jersey governor seat went to 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗙𝗪, and by a wide margin. And then, of course, Virginia governorship went to 𝗥𝗑𝗙𝗪𝗏. She ran a good election, and she got it. So what's happened to the Republicans holding their position in Virginia? No, they've lost that too. So what you're witnessing is that there's a very clear shift in two very important constituents. Youth has been lost almost all along the East Coast, you can say. And that is why, leading up to Trump's time, you had challenges and flag marches and shutdowns and Palestinian and even Gaza and Hamas protests happening in Ivy League schools. That's a very, very conspicuous and profound change. It's not arrested. Those things were not arrested. They just have been postponed, or they're allowed to linger. So all of this will come out when election time, as it has happened right now. Okay, so then where is the two? New Jersey, they expected some fight from the Republicans. They did not expect Virginia, but they expected some fight from New Jersey. And many of my friends, were campaigning actively, but you can see that 𝗥𝗑𝗙𝗪𝗏 won the New Jersey governorship. Now, California is very well known, very well understood which way they vote. They voted for Proposition 50, which means redistricting. As Sri pointed out, they're going to pick up more seats. They will not stop until they have. I'm talking about all the Democratic ruled states. They will not stop until such time they feel they have changed the demographics to such an extent that they have almost guaranteed victories even before they enter the elections. So that's red states which are Republican will protect there as much as possible. But there again, if the demographic trends change, what little is left, they're going to lose. But this change is coming to United States with tremendous, more than 20 to 30 million illegals in United States. I know many people challenge that number. Please go and check for yourself what the numbers have been. During the DACA process under Obama, there was almost 10 million people. And then in between, few more people came in. And then, of course, the floodgates opened under Biden. Okay, Prop 50 we have already discovered, so Californians are making sure. Well. Pennsylvania Supreme Court maintains the majority 5-2. If there is an election challenge for any kind of seat in Pennsylvania, you go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court makes a call on the specific case file, as it happened in 2020 in the presidential elections. Lo and behold, Trump lost. Then, the Secretary of the State and the Supreme Court of the state, two important roles. Remember, going back to 2000, how the Secretary, when Florida, in state of Florida, yes, under Bush, she gave the verdict to George Bush as against Al Gore, and that turned the tide. So precedence has been set by both parties to use their political clout as well as the positions of influence and power to swing the elections. So in a nutshell, Democratic leaning states have delivered. They have delivered the results in their favor. There is also another activity going on in the United States, which is the shutdown. The shutdown has created some element of problems in the minds of the people that their jobs are not safe. Second, the healthcare, the kind of healthcare, some of the stuff that's been taken out has created fear in the minds of the people that their healthcare is going to be taken out. Notwithstanding the fact the inflation has been coming down, it is not felt at the tills. So the food prices and the rental prices have been on the rise, and that may be stemmed as we move into this particular phase of the governance. The last thing that I can say in this is nobody wants to give credit to the administration on the oil prices or the gas prices, as we call in the United States. The gas prices have been very low. But having said that, these things have played a major part in the minds of the people. Okay, we covered this, the changing phase of democracy, which is demographics and the youth are reshaping, playing to the vulnerabilities of the people's minds. But very important point, economy. Okay, economic growth is not just the growth of the GDP, but also has consumer consumption affordability or consumer affordability. I think the consumer affordability has been coming down. The shutdowns, hits jobs, and so that's created apprehension in the mind. All that means is that a very hard road ahead for America, because vast number of largely populated states are under the guidance or the governance of the Democrats. Well, you take California, which is where my good friend 𝗏𝗏 comes from, is deep blue. I come from New York, again, deep blue. And then you go anywhere and everywhere. You go up north, Massachusetts, it's deep blue. He goes up north to Portland, deep blue. So this is unfortunately, and then goes further up to Seattle. I mean, that's a big state, Washington state. Again, it's a blue state. So we really have United States as a real problem in terms of what they're looking at, especially when its debt is at all-time high and there is not enough economic output to generate the income to offset the costs that is coming out. All this means that people think somehow socialism will deliver benefits to their pockets and to their wallets, and that is what these election results have come out, and remains to be seen how President Trump and the Republicans turn this around. In fact, it was very well summarized by Trump. I was not in the ballot. The shutdowns and the economy played a part. Well, at least you got that right, President Trump. And now, how are you going to do it? You are not going to be on the ballot paper for every election. You got to do something about your party. Okay, if you don't do anything for your party, then this is after you go, it's a done deal. That's where we stand, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. And also, viewers, my 2 cents is, I'm an independent. I don't have to apologize for anybody. My 2 cents is that politics is always about taking everyone along. As much as we dislike Mamdani's election, look at how he has been able to bring disparate groups together. What is it that he has? that the others lack. Charisma for one thing, youth, and an ability. I mean, he was a rap singer. See, what you are seeing is other features of people are parlaying themselves into politics. Where have we seen this for? Say, where have we seen this before? M.G. Ramachandran, MGR, Jayalalitha. So, and I would go so far to say even Donald Trump. The Apprentice was what, 7 seasons or 8 seasons? Week in and week out, people saw Trump taking decisions. Don't you think that had a role in making him elected as president? So if we do it, it's okay. If the others do it, it's not okay. That's not how it works. MAGA has to tone it down. Look, we're all human beings first. Where do you keep forgetting this part? Going after H1B, going after Indian Americans, going after this, going after that. It doesn't help. In America is a country of immigrants. Somewhere along the line, we've all forgotten that. Please remember this. America is what it is because of the immigrants. And I'll be so bold to say every immigrant realizes this. Every immigrant has to work twice as hard to get half the recognition. If you have Indian Americans at the apex of the profession as CEOs in many countries, these people exceeded that twice. They probably work 4 times harder. Let's understand why some people became successful and celebrate this. I mean, MAGA really needs to tone it down. Also, this needless needling about J.D. Vance, people keep asking him about his Christianity, his faith, and trying to isolate him into making statements against his wife. Very, very sad. Go and look at the movie. Watch the movie Hillbilly Elegy. That is his biography. What kind of shithole he was in. Who pulled him up from there? Who trusted him all the way? I mean, this is the Sanatani values of Usha Vance and her family. The credit where credit is due. And all these things kind of people just looked at this and said, okay, well, the Republicans are getting more extreme. I mean, I can understand people's anger also, Sridharji, but one thing is for sure. Socialism is not going to work in a country like America, which has been founded on capitalist principles. The question is, how far are you going to fall before you're going to pick yourself up? That is the question. And viewers, I have done a monologue on how much it's costing the Trump administration to deport one illegal individual. And I have done the best case and the worst case, and that's going to add 1 trillion over a period of 10 years. Who's going to find the money for that? Everything now is in trillions, Sridharji. That's the other interesting part. Let's take some questions now. I mean, we can go on and on. Inclusivity is the key for Republicans, in my opinion. Let's take some questions now.
Yeah.
Ranjan Soni wants to know, don't know how political parties function in the US, but I'm sure about one thing. Trump neither discusses anything with his party members, nor he cares about the party's future. Today's election results clearly show that the opportunity Republicans got because of Biden is lost by Trump. Sir, your thoughts?
Well, I think that the person who has spoken correctly. The Republicans have had problems in terms of leadership and in terms of organizational capability. They have historically won on registered voters and the ability of a leader, an individual who can galvanize and pull things together. Reagan and Trump are very good examples of how Republicans got. As far as the George Bush era is concerned, confronted by security and confronted by challenges, George Bush, notwithstanding the fact he was able to win. So you have individual charismatic leaders and long-term coming question marks around Republicans' organizational and governance. And that gentleman is very correct in saying that I don't think anybody presented him, but it is a historic problem. Well, Trump is not about RNC. Trump is more about how RNC has to orchestrate itself, amongst the. He is about the country. Is a businessman. He obviously comes from fairly close ties to the Wall Street and the SME, small and medium enterprises. That's what drives President Trump, and it's not about how he can organize a Republican Party. And in fact, I don't believe any of the presidents who have presided over United States in the recent past have actually done anything to the party.
Yes, indeed. Mamdani cannot contest presidential elections. He's not born in the United States, but he's promising free rent, free groceries, which are all lies. Next question, please. Maithili wants to know, Sridharji, why people don't think that every penny of freebie someone has earned it? Have they become blind?
No, many of the people are beneficiaries, so they're gladly receiving it, and they say this is the guy we need to have in place, so we'll get more freebies. How many people receive or beneficiaries? We covered this again in SNAP, Supplementary Nutritional Assistance Program. 95 million people. 95 million people.
I thought it was 45, sir.
I think the number that I heard during COVID, the number that I heard was around 95 people, Sriji. Okay, 45 million families. Now, I'm not talking about families, I'm talking about individuals. Okay, so it is possible there's about 45 million. The number that I've heard is, close to 95 million, which means everybody claims that, they're part of SNAP.
Sridharji, 2 years ago, when I used to routinely go biking, these days I'm kind of toning it back, but I'll start again. When I used to go by the neighborhood, Sridharji, middle class, probably retirees, and on Thursdays, there would be like Harvest House, which, distributes free groceries. I used to see a line of 50 to 100 people standing there, sir. You're talking about a solid middle class neighborhood, and each brown bag would consist of things like macaroni and cheese, that packet that you get, Kraft macaroni and cheese, stuff that you can go home and boil in water and get. So and snacks, Coke, this, that. So basic thing. This is 2 years ago, Sridharji. Things have gotten much worse in California now. I shudder to think how things are today if I go down that route, and I'll keep you posted on that. In fact, I might even take my camera and take videos for you. I have been remiss on that. I mean, I go biking, I don't do any video taking. I can do that, and I should start doing that just to understand where America is headed, viewers. I'm going to give you the raw truth of what's happening. This is California, this is Silicon Valley. This is supposed to be one of the most prosperous areas in the whole country. And this is where I'm seeing abject poverty. Sorry to say, take too much time here. Maithili, you tell me one thing. What is the Bihar elections being fought on? I can give you more freebies than you. What is the populace doing about it? Right? Next question.
Freebies.
Yes, exactly. NASDAQ down 2% as we speak. Well,
NASDAQ is down 2%. NASDAQ is down 2% because of its concerns. AMD has announced losses. There's also been mass cutting of jobs by the big tech companies. There's also toning down of the revenue projections. So you are seeing this 2%, and as you correctly said, 2% it's down. We also got the payroll numbers, which shows that the month of October, the job numbers performed better than expected, and this is the kind of asymmetric reporting of data. To what extent the data is accurate, whether it will be recalibrated, we don't know. Remember, we are in the middle of a shutdown. So there is also a rumor going around in the market, whether it is deliberate, I don't know, whether some people are trying to short the market. The AI is overblown, and now people are saying the numbers, revenue numbers that are projected and the impact may not be what people think it is, and hence there is also correction in that market, in the AI space. While we do that, China has said it is going to open the markets for private equity, and so you may see some flight of capital or capital going into that region. It is really
Sir,
what? Huh?
China has serious capital control, sir. In, no, out. In, no, out, no, out, no, out. These
Yeah,
rascals are the biggest scoundrels.
yeah. The money flows. That's how they've got, $3 trillion that they're sitting on is not because, it's people who gave money. It's not produced within China. There's so much of money went through FDI. All that thing they've, what you call, put it into their bank account and, denied access to the market. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to go into and outside the scope of this project. But the story here is that you can expect gyrations in the market as we go towards the end of the year and before the truth kind of emerges, whether many of these things, how they'll shake out. But please remember that there is a significant amount of cash that is going into the US economy as we speak, from Japan, from Qatar, from Korea, from some of the other nations. Yes, Sriji.
Thank you so much. Viewers, don't tell me I did not predict it. I have talked to you about carry trade. I've talked to you about strip mining. I'm talking to you about shadow banking that is coming out in the next couple of days. Just do watch these programs, because all these are factors that are driving up the Mag 7 stock and frothing up the stock market. The stock market is giving you a false impression about American economy. Just at least understand where things are, how things are headed. Also, sir, strip mining is a very underrated thing that people are not quite getting their handles around. Anyway, you watch it and you make your own decisions, and you can feel free to weigh in by way of comments if I am saying something wrong. This is all data based. Next question from Satya Narayanan. Would these defeats lead to a course correction by Trump and his MAGA low maniacs, nice word, so that they would stop their hatred against Indians?
No, I think the Trump has got the MAGA slogan. He's not going to change his MAGA slogan. That's it. That he and that are part of his DNA. Now, as far as the Indians are concerned, whether this is an egotistical battle or whether it's an economic battle, but clearly right now, as it sounds, it is an egotistical battle between two leaders who are refusing to concede ground, at least in public. In private, we don't know, but at least in public, there's no cessation of hostilities between the two. One says, stop buying Russian oil. The other guy says, no, I'll continue to buy more oil. One guy says, the trade is being now, we're going to be negotiating now because India has agreed. And then the next day you have Indian Oil Corporation, the largest refinery of the Indians, buying more Russian crude. So I think that this battle is going on right now. This is the truth. One of the highest tariff countries, even higher than China, is India. That's the truth.
That is absolutely the truth. You are absolutely right, sir. You have hit the nail on the head. People, this is Kadwa Sach, bitter truth. Please understand, it is true. What Sridharji is saying is true, despite the 5% and 18%, two new slabs of GST, but that's for internal consumption. We're talking about imports into India, and Sridharji hits the nail on the head. Next question, please. Next question, please. Hang on a second. Let me put the next question. How is it going to affect the NRIs? Gitanjali wants to know. Sridharji.
No, NRIs continue to, in cushy jobs, and, they are indispensable to the US ecosystem, and that continues. These are all parallelisms in place. These kinds of election results you face in the streets, but not in the jobs. Many are now, United States Indians are fairly well settled. They're long-term. They're all well capitalized. They're all investors in businesses. They own, hotel chains. They own gas stations. They own hotels. They own commercial real estate. They own retail real estate. All of them are not going to, unplug all of that. And then, when you go to Silicon Valley, huge number of people are employed. And many Indian Americans are in very senior positions, 45, 50, 80, 100. The number keeps swelling in terms of number of people who are in leadership roles. So I don't know about, the future Indians coming via H1B may be impacted, but not the current guys who are fairly well settled.
Thank you so much, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's special edition. We'll be back next Sunday with Sridhar ji. Thanks once again, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar, and have a wonderful day. And don't be disappointed. Mamdani could pull a surprise. Who knows?